Welcome DC Comics News Dark Knight News fans. The man next to me needs no introduction. His work for Marvel is legendary, runs with every character under the sun, and to my mind, the greatest Thor run since Stan and Jack, but that's my opinion, you guys make your own minds. Jason's now writing his first Batman story for DC. I've read Batman Offworld 1 and it's blown my mind because it's Batman in a radically different position. But you don't want to hear me. This is Jason Aaron. Let the man tell us his story. Jason.
Wait, what's my story?
Do you tell us? Batman Offworld, how did it come about and where did the seeds come from?
Well, some of it's like, it's right there. Like
Yeah, George carries them off.
DC books were the books that got me into comics in the first place as a kid. Like the books I pulled off the spinner rack and fell in love with comics were, for the most part, DC books. So New Teen Titans was one of those. Batman was perfect age for when Batman Year One came out, when Dark Knight Returns came out. So you take all those books and sort of mix them together, and that was like the gestation of me as a comic book fan and reader, and ultimately me as a comic book creator. So I think me coming to DC for the first time as a writer, I wanted to do something that, I wanted to do a Batman book, wanted to do a different kind of Batman book than we've seen before, and I wanted to do something that sort of harkened back and spoke to all those comics that made me fall in love with reading comics in the first place. So I think you see a lot of that weave through Batman Offworld.
Amazing, and that's actually answered one of my questions. You've got mentioned of the Kuns in Batman Offworld.
Yeah.
You've got a Tamaranian as one of the main characters. Right. So clearly that's come from your history and your love of comics from when you were a teenager, the same as I was.
Right, yeah, Batman Offworld is, on the one hand, it's a new story, and there's a lot of new characters we haven't seen before, but yeah, there's references to different parts of the DC cosmology. And there'll be more of that as the book goes along. Like, you haven't met all the new characters, things unfold. I mean, you don't even meet the main villains, for a few issues. And you also get a brand new version of Batman at some point along the way, like a Batman we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm. And nothing needs to be said. Doug Mank's artwork, particularly with Batman, speaks for itself. A nice collaboration, something you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, literally Doug's been on my list of like artists I want to work with for years, but I was always at Marvel and he's always been at DC. So coming to DC, he was the first artist I asked about for this.
Amazing.
And I felt like he was a perfect choice for it, and I think you see that first issue, you can see why. I think he's, my one note up front was like Batman should be the only human-looking person we see in the whole book, which is easy for me to say. But then Doug's got to draw, this ship full of aliens, and like every scene will be full of 20 different alien bad guys, and they all look completely different. Yeah. They're all 20 unique different aliens, and sprinkled in there will be a few like existing alien races, but most of them are just ones he's making up. So he's been killing it.
So getting the art back from Doug must have been a dream come true for you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like that's every day of the last 20 or so years that I've been doing this. Like I always feel like that when I because my job feels very selfish and very personal. Like I'm writing stuff that I want to read and then send it off into the ether. But then every day when I check my email and I get pages from some of the most amazing artists in the world, that I've been lucky enough to work with. So that part never gets old. So yeah, doing that with characters now, like Batman and Superman. I've got Superman stuff coming next year. It feels like in some way being a kid again and starting over and getting to feel that way about characters that I've never had the chance to write before.
Awesome. Again, you just answered one of my questions in the best way possible. So we knew that Batman Offworld was your first book for DC, but I was going to say what else is coming. You're doing a Superman book, limited series?
No, I'm doing 3 issues of Action Comics starting in January.
The one that started it all.
61. Right. I mean, it was intimidating to write Superman to begin with, but getting to write Superman in the pages of Action felt like an even bigger deal. So yeah, that starts in January.
Mind blown. So obviously thank you for your time. But for our fans at DC Comics News, for our viewers, for our listeners, is there any other little hint of upcoming projects that you can talk about without getting into trouble?
Probably not. Other than to say, there's a lot to come from me. Like I'm doing some more Marvel stuff, working on DC stuff beyond the Superman and Batman books. I'm doing stuff elsewhere. You know, I've still got Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. My creator-owned book has come out through Boom.
Awesome.
So there'll be more creator-owned stuff. There'll be more work-for-hire stuff. Like I'm doing a lot of new. So Batman and Superman aren't the only characters you'll see me writing for the first time.
Fantastic. Guys, you heard it here first. Jason Aaron, thank you. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for the weekend.
Cheers. Thank you.
All the best.